Movie starts with a man named Chuck. He was taken aback when he noticed rainwater leaking into the luxurious bungalow he had recently purchased for a hefty price. Alarmed, he quickly took some photos of the damage and sent them to the property agent, muttering curses under his breath. Afterward, he went to his wife's fashion studio to ensure there was no leakage there either. His wife, Maria, a fashion designer, was busy conducting a live session, sharing her experiences with her audience. Thankfully, her studio remained dry. While there, Chuck noticed an old mannequin in the corner of the room, one Maria adored so much that she had brought it with her to the new house. Satisfied that all was fine, Chuck stepped outside the bungalow to check for other issues. That's when he ran into a neighbor named Larry, who seemed surprised to learn that someone had actually bought the bungalow. During their chat, Larry casually revealed that the previous owner had committed suicide there. Chuck was stunned. The agent had never disclosed such critical information. Once back home, Chuck reviewed the photos he had taken. That's when something caught his eye. A shotgun was visible in one of the pictures, but there were no weapons in the house. Where had it come from? Puzzled, he tried to make sense of it, unaware that stranger things were yet to unfold. The next morning, while walking through the garden, Chuck spotted the same mannequin from Maria's studio bizarrely standing out there. Just then, Larry arrived again and observed the odd situation. Chuck started to suspect that this might be a prank, possibly pulled by his younger sister Isabelle, who had been mentally unstable since their mother's tragic accident a few months ago. Larry advised him to keep a close watch on Isabelle and suggested he visit the public library to learn more about the village's history. He also invited Chuck to a local group meeting later that afternoon. At the library, Chuck sifted through numerous books until he stumbled upon one containing the deep history of the village. As he was about to leave, he noticed some books scattered on the floor and saw a young woman named Ashley sitting nearby, crying. She warned him not to dig too deep into the village's secrets, warning of dire consequences. Chuck dismissed her as delusional and took the books to the librarian. When the librarian saw the titles he had selected, her expression changed dramatically. She warned him not to pursue knowledge about that place, as no one who had done so had ever returned. Chuck assured her that he was merely curious about the village's past. He mentioned the crying girl and the scattered books, but the librarian quickly became somber and left without explanation. Later at home, Chuck began reading about a secret conference held in 1980. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. It was his former student, Olivia, who had come for a music lesson. Chuck, a music teacher, had a new student attending for the first time. Olivia seemed nervous, so Chuck went to the kitchen to get water to ease the mood. But while he was away, piano music began playing. So masterfully it sounded like a professional. Shocked, Chuck turned to see Olivia standing at the kitchen entrance. They both froze, confused. When Chuck returned to the piano, the room was silent, and the mysterious woman Olivia claimed to have seen had vanished. Terrified, Olivia fled. That night, while Maria was away for work, Chuck attended the garden club meeting Larry had mentioned. The gathering touched on a sensitive and unsettling subject. Only 6 people were present, including the librarian. They were discussing a young woman named Helen Foster, who had recently attempted suicide. The librarian recalled a similar tragedy from 1980 involving a woman named Helen, whose daughter was relentlessly bullied at school. Despite repeated pleas for help, no one stepped forward. In despair, Helen shot herself in their home. Since then, the village had experienced at least one mysterious suicide each year. Many believed Helen's spirit was behind it, and that the cycle would continue until the truth about Helen's house, now lost to history, was brought to light. The discussion grew darker and more intense until the group decided to end the meeting. As Chuck stepped outside, he heard unsettling laughter from the nearby old church. Terrified, he ran home and went straight to his sister Isabelle's room. Isabelle, still haunted by their mother's death, frequently had nightmares and would often talk to Chuck to feel better. That evening, Isabelle's childhood friend Luke came to visit. Having grown up in the village, Luke was familiar with its dark legends. He told Isabelle the full story of Helen Foster's suicide. Later that night, while Isabelle was asleep, the bathroom light flickered on by itself. She got up to turn it off, but it turned on again shortly after. Thinking the switch might be faulty, she removed the bulb and placed it on her bedside table. As she tried to sleep again, even stranger things began happening. The next morning, Isabelle awoke to find sunlight pouring in. At first, she thought the events of the night had been a bad dream, until she saw the light bulb exactly where she had left it. Everything was real. She immediately told Luke about it. Just then, Chuck called and asked her to come home right away. When she arrived, she found Maria visibly shaken. During a recent live session, the mannequin behind Maria had started moving its hands on its own. Her best friend watching the session called to warn her. Maria brushed it off, thinking her friend was talking about the bridal dress, and responded with a video saying the dress was ready. But when Maria returned to the camera, the mannequin had vanished. Confused, she kept getting urgent messages from friends telling her to leave the room immediately, but she ignored them and continued the session. Later, when she went to show the dress again, she discovered the mannequin was gone. A loud noise came from the adjacent room. Nervous but determined, she walked toward it and discovered the terrifying truth about the mannequin. Chuck, upon hearing everything, wasted no time. He returned and together, they burned the mannequin. Chuck told Maria about the suicide of the previous owner, and they concluded that negative energy might still be lingering in the house. They decided to leave. Isabelle was told to move into a college hostel, and Luke came over to help. While packing, Luke noticed a photo of Isabelle and her mother on the wall. He found something strange. The image didn't match Isabelle's description of her mother. It looked unusual and oddly preserved. Isabelle was startled. She revealed that her mother had died only a few months ago in an accident. Luke was shocked. He had recently seen someone who looked like her walking around the house. Still processing this revelation, they were startled by the sound of falling utensils from the kitchen. Rushing downstairs, they found the house unnaturally cold and filled with an eerie, sobbing sound. Luke, unnerved, made an excuse and left. As soon as he did, Isabelle heard someone softly whispering her name. When she turned around, no one was there. Maria arrived, trying to calm her down, but Isabelle insisted she needed to uncover the truth. Moments later, they heard a scream from Maria's room. Isabelle rushed over. The door creaked open by itself. Maria, terrified and crying, fled into Isabelle's room, unaware that blood was dripping from her nose. When things settled, Luke returned, this time with an old map. He had compared a 1923 planner book with the current city layout and identified the original location of a place, 825 Forest Road. Meanwhile, Chuck had decided to confront the man who had deceived his wife. Isabelle insisted on accompanying him. Just then, an ad agent arrived needing help with a shoot. Chuck had to leave, so Maria, now feeling slightly better, stayed behind to assist. Sensing something wasn't right, Isabelle asked Luke to stay with Maria while she and Chuck headed to the mysterious address. On the drive, Chuck told Isabelle that if the house turned out to be the one, he would burn it down. Meanwhile, Maria was helping the agent with the shoot when he suddenly began speaking in an eerie, unknown language. Chuck and Isabelle, meanwhile, ventured through a dense forest and found a dilapidated house. They broke a window to enter and made their way upstairs, realizing that the mansion's interior mirrored Chuck's current home. A shadow moved behind them. Back at the bungalow, Maria started recounting a traumatic story from 1980 about her bullied daughter and the helplessness she felt. It was clear now. The spirit of Helen had possessed her. Meanwhile, Chuck discovered a wooden box buried underground, containing several returned letters written by a woman asking for help from the school. The address on those letters was the same as their current home, 825 Forest Road. That explained why Helen's spirit had returned. The house once belonged to her. Chuck rushed upstairs to find Isabelle, only to see her standing silently. At the same time, Luke, still with Maria, began suspecting something was wrong. He asked Maria the name of her daughter. In response, she began screaming and laughing hysterically before falling silent. Isabelle suddenly gasped. An invisible hand gripped her shoulder. Chuck rushed toward her, trying to pull her away. But before he could react, both he and Isabelle were dragged by an unseen force into the old room. And with that, the story ends.